The champagne flute shattered against the marble floor of the grand central ballroom, its shards scattering like the fragments of my carefully rebuilt life. "Charles?" A voice rasped from the arched doorway, gravelly and unmistakable, slicing through the string quartet's rendition of Pachelbel's canon like a sniper's bullet. There he stood, Alex, my ghost, my marine, alive in his dress blues, dog tags glinting under the chandeliers, his green eyes locking onto mine with a hunger that demanded I remember every promise we'd whispered in the dark. I froze at the altar, my hands trembling in David's. Steady, safe David, who'd been my anchor through 2 years of numb survival. The officiant faltered, his words about eternal vows dissolving into awkward coughs as 300 guests twisted in their seats, whispers rippling like wildfire through the sea of tuxedos and gowns. Alex didn't move, just stared, his broad frame filling the threshold as if he'd marched straight out of my nightmares into the sunlit hell in Midtown Manhattan. My heart slammed against my ribs, a traitor's drumbeat, because in that split second, I wasn't the grieving widower anymore. I was the boy who'd begged him not to deploy, the lover who'd traced the scars on his knuckles and sworn forever. David's grip tightened, his thumb brushing my knuckles in that reassuring way he'd perfected over late-night therapy sessions and shared bottles of Malbec. "Babe, you okay?" he murmured, his voice a lifeline pulling me back from the abyss. But I wasn't okay. I was unraveling, thread by thread, as Alex finally stepped forward, his polished boots echoing like thunder on the polished oak floor. The room held its breath. My mother, elegant in pearl gray silk at the front row, clutched her bouquet until the stems snapped. Alex's gaze never left mine, and in it, I saw the desert sun-baked lines etched deeper into his face, the hollows under his eyes that spoke of places no man should return from. "Charles," he said again, louder now, his southern drawl wrapping around my name like smoke from a foxhole fire. It was the voice that had coaxed me through my first Pride Parade panic attack in San Francisco, the one that growled filthy encouragements in our Brooklyn loft when the world outside hated us for loving too loud. He stopped 10 feet from the altar, close enough that I could smell the faint starch of his uniform mixed with something sharper. Sweat, fear, the metallic tang of survival. "I know this is. Fuck. I didn't plan it like this." David stood then, all 6'2" of Midwestern solidity, his blonde hair catching the light like a halo he didn't deserve to lose. "Who the hell are you?" he demanded, his voice steady but laced with the quiet fury of a man who'd memorized my scars, who'd proposed on the Brooklyn Bridge at dawn because he knew I hated crowds. The guests murmured, phones slipping from pockets. Tomorrow's tabloid fodder. Tech Air's wedding crashed by dead lover? But I couldn't look at David. Not when Alex was here, flesh and blood. After the folded flag on my mantle, the endless VA calls confirming Kia in Helmand province. "I'm the man he was supposed to marry," Alex replied, his jaw clenching as he shot a glance at the rings glinting on the velvet pillow. "The one who got blown to hell and back but clawed his way home for him. Lies? Truth?" My mind reeled, flashing to the knock on my door 2 years ago. The chaplain's somber face, the telegram crumpling in my fist as I sank to the floor, howling until neighbors called the cops. I'd sold our loft, scattered his ashes, or what they swore were his, into the Hudson at sunset, and let David rebuild me brick by brick in his sleek Chelsea penthouse. "Stop," I whispered, my voice cracking like thin ice. The officiant backed away, sensing the storm. David turned to me, his blue eyes searching, pleading, "Don't do this to us, Charles." But Alex was already closing the distance, his hand reaching out as if to cup my face like he used to after missions, when he'd come home reeking of jet fuel and need us both raw and desperate. "Charles, listen." "No!" The word exploded from me, raw and ragged, echoing off the vaulted ceilings. I yanked my hand from David's, stumbling back a step, my tailored tux suddenly a straitjacket. The room blurred. Faces of colleagues from my nonprofit, friends who'd toasted my fresh start last month. My sister biting her lip in the second row. This wasn't a wedding. It was a grave robbery, my past clawing free from its coffin to devour the future I'd stitched together from grief's tatters. Alex halted, his chest heaving, the medals on his chest, Purple Heart, Bronze Star, catching the light like accusations. "They told me you were gone," he said, voice dropping to that intimate timbre reserved for stolen moments in motel rooms off base. Said you'd moved on, that I was too late. But I couldn't. I had to see for myself. His eyes flicked to David, then back. A flicker of something dark. Jealousy? Regret? Betrayal burned in my gut, hot and twisting. If he was alive, why the silence? Why let me bury him? David stepped between us, his hand on my shoulder now, grounding. Security, he said quietly to the waiter hovering nearby. But I shook him off, surging forward until I was inches from Alex, close enough to see the fresh scar slicing through his left eyebrow, a souvenir from whatever hell had kept him from me. You died, Alex, I hissed, tears hot on my lashes. I watched them lower that flag. I screamed your name into the void for months. And now you waltz in like some goddamn hero from a bad movie. He flinched but didn't retreat. I was captured, Charles. Taliban bastards held me for 18 months in a hole that smelled like death. No comms, no way out. When I finally escaped, hitched a ride with some ragtag unit, they shipped me stateside, but the brass. They fucked up the paperwork. Told me you were. He swallowed hard, Adam's apple bobbing. They said you'd taken your own life. Overdosed on the pills from the shrink. I believed them. Came here to say goodbye to your ghost. The air punched from my lungs. Overdose? That was the night I'd hit rock bottom. Yes. Pills scattered like confetti on the bathroom tile. David's frantic 911 call pulling me back. But suicide? No. I'd clawed through for him, or what I thought was his memory. Liar? I breathed, but doubt wormed in, because Alex's eyes, those fierce forest green eyes, held no deception, only the shattered glass of a man who'd lost everything too. David's voice cut through, sharp as a scalpel. This is insane. Charles, we can handle this later. Privately. He glanced at the crowd, where my CEO mentor was already on her phone, damage control commencing. But Alex laughed. A bitter, broken sound that twisted my knife deeper. Privately? After I crossed an ocean for him, he stepped closer, invading my space, his breath warm on my skin. Tell me you don't feel it, Charlie. That pull. Like every star we named on that fire escape is still burning. I did feel it. God help me, I did. A magnetic ache in my bones, the ghost of his hands on my hips, his laugh in my ear during lazy Sundays in bed. But David was real, here, the man who'd held me when nightmares came, who'd planned this day around my quirks. No flowers, allergies, acoustic guitar instead of organ, too churchy for a queer wedding. Get out, I said, but my voice wavered, a plea more than command. He didn't. Instead, he dropped to one knee. Right there, amid the rose petals and scattered glass. Pulling a tarnished ring from his pocket, the one I'd given him under Central Park Oaks 4 years ago. Marry me, Charles. For real this time. No wars, no doubts. Just us against the world. Gasps rippled through the room. David stiffened beside me, his face paling to ash. My world tilted, two futures colliding in a cataclysm of what-ifs. And in that endless heartbeat, I realized, love wasn't a straight line from grief to grace. It was a battlefield, littered with the bodies of choices we'd both buried alive. The ballroom doors burst open again, but it was just the catering staff, trays clattering as they froze mid-stride, sensing the powder keg. Alex stayed on one knee, ring extended like a grenade pin. His uniform jacket straining across shoulders bulked from captivity's cruel gym. Push-ups in the dirt, survival's forge. I wanted to haul him up, to punch him, to kiss him until the world righted itself. Instead, I backed away, colliding with the altar cloth, the unity candle flickering mockingly. Charles, please, David said, his voice a threadbare whisper, hand outstretched as if I were a spooked horse. He'd always been the steady one, software engineer turned philanthropist, funding queer youth shelters because he'd seen too many kids like me kicked out at 16. Our engagement photo hung in his office. Me laughing on his yacht off the Hamptons, wind-whipped and free, the ring on my finger a promise forged in therapy couches and candlelit apologies for my baggage. But Alex was chaos incarnate, the tornado who'd swept into my life at a DC bar during Obama's second term. All cocky grin and buzz cut, buying me a whiskey sour with a wink that said I see you, and I ain't scared. We'd built a fortress in Brooklyn, leather jackets on hooks, dog tags on the nightstand, until his deployment order came like a death sentence. 6 months, babe, he'd lied, kissing my knuckles raw. Then Vegas, Elvis officiating, the works. 6 months became eternity. The explosion in Helmand, IED ambush, they said, ripped him from me, leaving shrapnel in my soul. I quit my job at the gallery, started the nonprofit for veterans' mental health because if I couldn't save him, maybe I could save someone else's Alex. David found me there, volunteering at a fundraiser, his quiet strength a balm on my burns. You're not broken, he'd said on our first date, over falafel in the village. You're just bent. And that's beautiful. Now, bent didn't cover it. I was fracturing, shards of past and present drawing blood. Everyone out, I announced, my voice surprisingly firm, echoing like a judge's gavel. The officiant nodded gratefully, ushering guests toward exits lined with valets and stunned valets with vows. My mother lingered, her eyes, hazel like mine, pleading choose life, son, before my sister tugged her away. David hesitated, then followed the flow, shooting Alex a look that could curdle milk. Alone at last, save for the string quartet packing up in hasty whispers, the three of us formed a ragged triangle under the crystal rain of light. Alex rose slowly, pocketing the ring, his 6'3" frame dwarfing the space. Up close, the changes hit harder. The limp in his left leg, faint but there. The tattoo on his forearm. A compass rose we'd inked together, faded, overlaid with jagged script. Non-Sibby said Patry, not for self but country. Charlie, he murmured, using the nickname that always melted me. I dreamed of this. Waking up to you every day. No more goodbyes. I laughed. A hollow bark that tasted like bile. Dreams? You let me think you were dead. Alex, I planned your funeral. Scattered what they called your remains while drunk on bourbon. Screaming at the sky. My fists clenched, nails biting palms. Do you know what that does to a man? I saw ghosts in every shadow. Your boots by the door, your cologne on the pillows. Therapy didn't fix that. David did. His face crumpled, green eyes storming. David, he echoed, the name a curse. The golden boy. Saw his Instagram, smiling Charles, healed Charles. Broke my fucking heart. He raked a hand through his close-cropped hair, now threaded with premature silver. I was in Walter Reed for months, relearning to walk, piecing together sanity from nightmares. Brass said you'd offed yourself pills alone in that loft. I came to mourn, not to. This. The lie, if it was one, hung heavy. Why would the military botch that? Cover up for a black site escape? Or Alex's mind, fractured by isolation, weaving fictions to cope? Prove it, I challenged, voice steel. Show me the files, the scars. Because right now, you're the villain in my fairy tale, crashing the happily ever after I earned through hell. He unbuttoned his jacket with trembling fingers, revealing the crisp white shirt beneath, then rolled up a sleeve. There. Puckered burns snaking up his arm like lightning, shrapnel's kiss. This from the blast. That. He pointed to his side, lifting the hem to show a surgical scar, pink and angry. From the extraction. Bullet hole, kidney nicked. They airlifted me to Bagram, but intel was scrambled. No ID for weeks. When they pieced it, the report. It was wrong. About you. David reappeared at the side door, arms crossed. A shadow in the emptying hall. Charles, we need to talk. Alone. His tone brooked no argument. The protective streak I'd fallen for, now a wall between me and the man who'd birthed my longing. Alex's gaze flicked to him, assessing, then back to me with raw plea. One night, Charlie. Dinner like old times. Let me explain. Then, if you want me gone, I'll go. But don't marry him without knowing the truth. Truth. The word mocked me. I chased it for years. In support groups, in journals burned at bonfires, in David's patient arms. Now it dangled like forbidden fruit, sweet and poisoned. Fine, I said, the syllable a surrender. One night. But if you're lying, Alex, if this is some post-traumatic delusion, I'll bury you again. Deeper this time. He nodded, relief flooding his features, softening the hard edges of war. As he turned to leave, brushing past David with a nod that wasn't quite civil, I caught his whisper. I never stopped fighting for you. The doors swung shut behind him, leaving me with David, the altar, and the echo of vows unspoken. That night, in the penthouse overlooking the glittering Hudson, David paced the living room, his tie discarded like a shed skin. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the city lights, our city, the one we'd mapped with brunches in Soho and runs along the High Line. "Who is he, really?" David asked, stopping to pour scotch neat, the ice clinking like accusations. "Not just some ex. That look in your eyes. It's like he owns a piece I never touched." I sank onto the leather sectional, head in hands, the tux still clinging like a second skin. "Alex Hale. Marine. My everything until he wasn't." The words tumbled out. Our whirlwind romance, the deployment, the bomb. David's face tightened with each detail, the scotch forgotten as he sat beside me, close but not touching. "I mourned him, David. Built walls. You kicked them down, brick by gentle brick." He reached for my hand, calluses from weekend carpentry projects rough against my skin. "And now, one dinner, and it's rubble again." Hurt laced his words, the vulnerability of a man who'd bet his heart on my healing. We'd fought for this, couples counseling, weekend getaways to the Berkshires where he'd hike while I sketched wildflowers, reclaiming joy one petal at a time. "It's not fair to you," I admitted, throat tight. "To us. But I need closure. Or answers. Or something." The something hung unsaid. Him. The pull was visceral, a tide dragging me under, and David, bless him, saw it, his blue eyes dimming like storm clouds over Lake Michigan. "Then go," he said softly, surprising me. "But come back, Charles. To me. To this." He gestured to the room, our shared space, photos of pride floats and volunteer galas, the ring box on the mantel from this morning's near-miss. "I'm not running, but I won't beg." His grace undid me. I pulled him close, burying my face in his neck, inhaling the clean scent of his aftershave mingled with the faint salt of unshed tears. "I love you," I murmured, meaning it. Even as Alex's ring burned a phantom weight on my finger. We made love that night. Slow, deliberate, David's hands mapping my body like a cartographer afraid of uncharted territories. It was comfort, connection, but not fire. Not the blaze that had consumed me once. Morning broke gray and drizzly, typical November in New York, the kind that turns umbrellas into weapons on crowded sidewalks. I met Alex at a dive in Hell's Kitchen, neon sign flickering O'Malley's, the same spot we'd celebrated his promotion with cheap drafts and stolen kisses in the booth. He was already there, nursing a coffee black as his mood, civilian jeans and a faded USMCT hugging his frame. No uniform today, just the man stripped bare. "You came," he said, standing as I slid in opposite, his smile tentative, like testing thin ice. Up close, without the drama, he looked exhausted, dark circles, a gauntness that spoke of MREs and morphine dreams. "Promised?" I replied, signaling the waitress for tea chamomile to steady the tremor in my hands. "Start talking. All of it." He did. Words poured out like rain in the gutters outside. The convoy hit at dawn, dust cloud blooming into inferno. Shrapnel tearing through flesh, darkness swallowing him whole. Captives in a mountain cave, chained to walls slick with seepage, interrogations that blurred into fever. Escape via a bribed guard, a harrowing trek to a forward base, then stateside in secrecy. Black Ops protocols, psych evals that labeled him unstable. The military's screw-up, a mix-up in next-of-kin notifications, my suicide, a clerical ghost born from a misinterpreted overdose report. "I punched a general when they told me," he confessed, flexing knuckles still bruised. "Demanded to see you. They shipped me to a psych ward in Virginia instead. Lockdown, no calls. By the time I broke free AWOL, technically, I'd hacked enough to find your trail. The wedding invite was public, for donors. Figured it was a memorial or some shit. Not this. Hacked. To fit Alex, the farm boy from Georgia who'd aced cyber ops training, turning tech against the machine that broke him. Why not call? Email? Hell, a postcard. Bitterness edged my tone. The what-if's a chorus in my head. Paranoia, he admitted, gaze dropping to the scarred tabletop. Thought they'd planted bugs, that you'd hate the wreck I'd become. PTSD's a bitch, Charlie. Night terrors where I wake up digging my own grave. Convinced you're in it. He reached across, hesitating before covering my hand with his calloused palm. Warm, familiar. But seeing you yesterday, alive, glowing, it was resurrection. The touch ignited sparks, memories flooding. Tangled sheets in August heat, his body a landscape of muscle and mercy. I pulled away, not ready for the burn. I'm not glowing. I'm engaged, Alex, to a man who doesn't vanish. His jaw ticked, green eyes flashing. Does he make you feel alive? Or just safe? The question landed like a gut punch because David was safety, porch swings in upstate summers, tax season cuddles with Netflix cues. Alex was alive. Adrenaline rushes, whispered I love yous in war zones via sat phone, the thrill of defying odds. Safe is alive after what you put me through, I countered, but the words rang hollow. The waitress dropped off my tea, oblivious to the minefield, and we sat in charged silence, rain pattering the window like impatient fingers. Tell me about him, Alex said finally, leaning back, arms crossed. A barrier or armor? David. What's his story? I sipped, scalding my tongue, buying time. Grew up in Chicago, Catholic guilt and all. Came out at 22, lost half his family. Builds apps for queer nonprofits now. Steady, kind. Plans dates with spreadsheets. A smile tugged my lips despite myself. David's infamous romance algorithm, complete with user ratings. Alex snorted, but there was no malice. Sounds like the anti-me. Good for you. Yet his eyes betrayed him, tracing my face like a map he feared forgetting. You deserve that. But Charlie, if there's even a spark left. There is, I interrupted, the admission slipping free like a held breath. But sparks start fires, Alex. And I'm tired of ashes. He nodded, slow, the weight of war's hours, his settling deeper. Then let me fan it. One date. Real one. No ghosts, no exes. Just us. Seeing if the embers glow. Madness. Betrayal to David, who waited at home with takeout tie and trust one might shatter. But the pull. God, the pull. One date. I agreed, heart hammering. Saturday. Central Park. Noon. No promises. As I left, dodging puddles on 9th Avenue, my phone buzzed. David. Miss you already. Tie tonight? Guilt twisted, sharp as Alex's scars. What was I doing? Chasing phantoms when a good man held the door open? Saturday dawned crisp, leaves carpeting the park in crimson and gold, joggers weaving past like threads in a tapestry. I spotted Alex by the Bethesda fountain. Jeans, leather jacket, a thermos of coffee steaming in the chill. No limp today, or maybe he hid it better. Brought provisions, he grinned, handing me a mug, the brew strong and sweet, just how I'd taught him in our early days. We walked the ramble, paths twisting like our conversation. Veering from war stories, the buddy who didn't make it, voice cracking on the name, mine. The kid vet who overdosed at my first support meeting, to lighter ground, his botched attempt at baking my birthday cake. Flower explosion immortalized in a photo I'd kept. Laughter came easier than expected. Rusty but real, bridging the chasm time dug. At the conservatory water we skipped stones, his skipping for mine a pathetic plop, then sat on a bench, shoulders brushing. Missed this, he murmured, gaze on the model boats bobbing. The quiet. You. Me too. I confessed, the words a dam breaking. His hand found mine, lacing fingers, and I let it, electric, inevitable. We kissed there, under bare branches, slow and deep, tasting of coffee and second chances. It wasn't fireworks. It was hearth fire, warm and steady, rekindling what war couldn't kill. But as we parted, his phone rang, military line, clipped voice summoning him back for debriefs. Classified, he explained, apology in his eyes. Might be weeks, but I'm not disappearing again. Promise. I nodded, believing him even as doubt nipped. Back in Chelsea, David greeted me with a hug, sensing the shift. Good closure? He asked over dinner, chopsticks pausing midair. Yeah, I lied, forcing a smile. Just memories. That night, in bed, his touch felt like obligation. My mind drifting to green eyes and dog tags. Betrayal brewed, slow poison in my veins. Weeks blurred. Work at the nonprofit ramped up, holiday fundraisers demanding my smile. David's wedding reschedule loomed, invitations redesigned with discreet TBD. Alex texted sparingly, "Debrief hell. Thinking of you. Stone skip rematch soon?" Each ping a thrill, a secret flame. Then the call, late night. David snores soft from the next room. Alex's voice, edged with panic. "Charlie, it's bad. Brass is sidelining me, PTSD flag, psych hold incoming. Meet me. Now. The loft. Please." The old Brooklyn address hit like vertigo. I shouldn't go, David asleep, trust on the line. But I dressed in shadows, cab through the night, heart pounding as the key. I'd never changed the locks. Turned in the door. Dust motes danced in moonlight. Our furniture gone, but ghosts lingered. Faded paint where photos hung. The fire escape view unchanged. He was there, pacing, duffel at his feet, eyes wild. "They're calling it desertion," he blurted, pulling me into a fierce hug. "The escape unofficial. If I don't sign their gag order, I'm done. No pension, no life." His hands framed my face. Desperate. "Run with me, Charlie. Canada, Mexico, anywhere. We start over." Run? The word echoed absurd. A movie plot, not my life of grants and galas. "I can't," I whispered, even as my body leaned in. "David, forget him." Alex's voice rose, cracking. "This is us. Real. He was your crutch, not your soul." Anger flared, hot and ugly. Jealousy I'd glimpsed at the wedding now ablaze. Or are you scared? A feeling again. The accusation stung, truth in venom. David was safe harbor. "Alex, the storm. You're asking me to torch everything." I shot back, shoving him away. "For what? A fugitive's life? I grieved you once. I won't bury myself alive." He deflated, shoulders slumping. "Then help me fight it. Your nonprofit pulls strings." "That's rights, right?" Plea in his eyes, the boy from Georgia peeking through the soldier. I hesitated, torn. Call David? Confess? Or dive deeper into this riptide? "I'll try," I said finally, the compromise a fragile bridge. We talked till dawn. Plans, lawyers, his hand in mine at anchor. As sun crested, he kissed me goodbye, lingering. "Love you, Charlie. Always did." The door clicked shut, leaving me in echoes. Back home, David stirred as I slipped in, his arm draping over me in sleep. Guilt crashed, waves of it. How long could I straddle this fault line before the quake? The fault line widened that week, fissures snaking through every meal, every touch. David's questions grew sharper. "Late night at the office again?" His eyes searching mine over breakfast bagels, the Times crossword abandoned. I mumbled excuses. Donor calls, grant deadlines. Truth. Frantic emails to VA contacts. Calls to pro bono lawyers versed in military fuckery. Alex's case was a hydra. Every head I chopped. Redacted reports, psych eval appeals. Sprouted two more, chain of command stonewalls. Whispers of national security. One evening, rain lashing the penthouse windows like judgment. David cornered me in the kitchen. "It's him, isn't it? The Marine." His voice was even, but his hands gripped the granite counter white-knuckled. The man who'd coded algorithms for love now decoding my lies. I froze, corkscrew midway to the wine bottle. "What?" "Don't," he said, soft but steel. "The loft key on the hook. Your phone lighting up at odd hours." I saw the texts. "Miss your laugh. That's not closure, Charles. That's an affair." Affair. The word landed like shrapnel, embedding deep. Was it? Kisses in parks, midnight confessions. Yes, but more. Resurrection. A reclaiming of the self I'd interred with Alex's flag. "David, save it." He pushed off the counter, grabbing his coat. "I deserve better than scraps. We're postponing the wedding. Indefinitely." The door slammed, echoing hollow in the marble void. I sank to the floor, wine forgotten, sobs racking me. Loss layered on loss. David's quiet exit a casualty of my indecision. Phone buzzed. "Alex. Hearing tomorrow. Need you there." I went, of course, slipping into the VA tribunal room in D.C. like a shadow, heart in throat. Alex stood ramrod in civvies, lawyer, a sharp-eyed vet advocate I'd pulled strings for, flanking him. The panel, stone-faced colonels, clipboards like shields. Testimony dragged. Alex's escape heroism dismissed as reckless. His PTSD a liability. Sergeant Hale's instability endangers unit cohesion. One droned, sliding psych reports across the table. Hallucinations, suicidal ideation, my suicide delusion flagged as evidence. Alex's eyes met mine across the room, pleading hold on. I testified when called. Character witness. Lover's alibi voice steady as I painted him. Brave, loyal. The man who'd saved me from my own darkness. He's not unstable, I said, meeting the colonel's gaze. He's human. Broken by the machine you're supposed to fix. It swayed them barely. Probation, not discharge. Therapy mandated, but pension intact. Outside, in the humid beltway air, Alex crushed me in a hug, laughing through tears. You did it, Charlie. Fuck. You saved me. We celebrated in a Georgetown bistro. Oysters, Sancerre, his foot hooking mine under the table. Talk turned intimate. Futures without wars. Move back, he urged, thumb stroking my wrist. Brooklyn. Build something real. Real. The word tempted, a siren's call. But David's silence since the fight gnawed. Voicemails unanswered. Texts to space? Met with crickets. I called my sister that night, holed up in a hotel to dodge the fallout. You're choosing ghosts over flesh, she said bluntly. From her Seattle kitchen, kids' chatter background. David's flesh, Charles. Solid. What if Alex ghosts again? She was right. But so was the ache in my chest. The one only Alex's voice soothed. Back in New York, I confronted the wreckage. David's things half-packed in the guest room. A note on the bed. Take time. I love you enough to let you go. Tears blurred the ink. I loved him too steady, profound. But Alex was the bass line to my song. The rhythm I danced to before grief muted it. The climax hit like a nor'easter. 2 weeks pre-Christmas. Snow blanketing the city in hush. Alex called. Frantic. They're flipping it. New intel claiming I leaked during captivity. Arrest warrant incoming. Panic clawed his voice. The boy from the farm breaking through. Meet at the loft. Now, we run, or they bury me. Run. Again. I raced through flurries. Cab idling outside the old building as I climbed stairs 2 at a time. Door ajar. Alex inside. Duffel zipped. Eyes haunted. Charlie. But something was off. A shadow in the corner. Not Shadow Man. David. Coat dusted with snow. Face a mask of devastation. He lied. David said, voice ash. All of it. Alex whirled, paling. What they? David held up his phone. Screen glowing with emails, hacked, forwarded from my nonprofit server. VA cleared him weeks ago. No warrant. This? A ploy to force your hand. His gaze locked on me, hurt raw. I followed you. Saw the texts planning it. He's using you, Charles. Manipulating the hero narrative to reel you back. Betrayal exploded, dual warheads. Alex's face crumpled. No, God. The debrief dragged. They hinted at charges to scare me straight. I panicked, thought. Liar. I roared, world spinning. Flashes. His dreams at the wedding. The convenient escape tale. The psych reports I'd glimpsed. Delusions of a lost love's suicide. Unchecked. Was it all PTSD theater? Or calculated cruelty, punishing me for moving on? David stepped forward, hand out. Come home, please. We fix this. Alex lunged, grabbing my arm. He's poison, Charlie. Safe. Yeah. But does he burn for you like I do? The tug-of-war peaked. My soul the rope fraying. Enough. I wrenched free, backing toward the door. You both. You're killing me. Tears streamed, hot on frozen cheeks. Alex's pleas chased me down the stairs. Charlie, wait! But I fled into the snow, cab vanishing into whiteout. Hours later, in the penthouse, David's keys still mine. I curled on the couch, phone dead, world reduced to blizzard howl. Dawn brought clarity, cold and cutting. Love wasn't possession, or safety, or fire alone. It was choice. Human, messy, the courage to release what harmed. I called David first. I'm sorry, truly. His voice weary. Me too. Is it over? Not if we fight for it, I said, meaning it. Therapy anew, boundaries redrawn, no ghosts at our table. Alex I met in neutral ground. A coffee shop off Union Square, faces drawn, steam rising like sighs. It's done, I told him, voice steady. You need help, real help, not me as crutch. The nonprofits got resources. Use them. His eyes shattered, green fracturing to gray. I love you, Charlie. That wasn't fake. I know. And I did. Loved him still. The echo of it a scar I'd carry tender. But love sets free. Go heal. Live. He nodded, slow, then stood, duffel over shoulder. At the door he paused. If he breaks you. He won't. A half smile, bittersweet. Goodbye, Alex. The door closed soft, final as a period. Outside, spring lurked under snow, new growth, resilient. David came home that night, arms open, no questions. We rescheduled the wedding for cherry blossoms, vowing honesty over perfection. Months later at the altar, real this time, small circle of friends in a village garden. David's hand in mine, I glanced at the door once, half expecting a ghost. Empty. Peace settled deep as roots. Alex surfaced in a letter, postmarked Georgia. Married a nurse from the ward. Kid on the way. Grateful for the fire even if it burned. Humanistic grace. Forgiveness not erasure. Paths diverging kind. As we kissed, seals stamped on forever, I whispered to the wind, thank you for coming back and letting go. Love, it turned out, wasn't a battlefield one. It was the quiet armistice after, where two souls chose dawn over dusk.